What is up, everybody? Welcome to my review of episode 20 of Shield Hero. This was a really good episode. I'm really excited to talk about it. So, let's get into it. So these guys waste no time. We know that they've decided to, work together now instead of, bickering amongst themselves, and they're actually, they have pretty good teamwork. Naofumi does this cool little trick where he has the spear hero attack him, and I guess the shield, it like reflects damage off and converts into like flames, and so he uses that to attack the Pope. And everyone has played their own role in just attacking him, trying to break his barriers, get him to use his mana. Yeah, there was some pretty good action there. The Pope is still a very formidable opponent. You can't underestimate him and the amount of mana he has available. Because basically he can use all of their advanced skills, all their other skills from their weapons, and so and he seems to be using the weapons a lot better than the actual heroes. But Naofumi had a good point where they're looking to him now. They're kind of desperate, and they're like saying, "Hey, don't you have any special abilities? Can't you do anything about it?" And they even said that, hey, aren't you're a much lower level than us, and you're able to keep up with us. So it's probably because your shield is overpowered. And it kind of bugged me a little bit because these guys, I don't know, it's like they don't really. I mean, I guess you can't blame him for not understanding what Naofumi went through, and he is where he is because of all the hard work he had to do. He was basically fighting an uphill battle this whole time, and these guys are just thinking, he's only gotten this far because the shield is pretty overpowered. And so Naofumi's just like, you guys aren't making any good use of your weapons. And I mean, it kind of shows because the Pope is using it better than their own weapons. So there's a little thing that bugged me. These heroes, they're still kind of still very annoying to me. So Naofumi kind of just got the rage shield, I might as well use that. And for some reason I thought he was already using it. When this other shield form kind of almost looked like the rage shield, so I kind of thought he was already using it, just not as I don't know, just using its power as much. But no, he's using it now, and as you can tell, the rage just totally consumes him, and the dragon still ends up talking to him saying just give in and you won't suffer. And it just makes me wonder, right? I guess there wasn't really a voice before he absorbed the dragon, but I'm pretty sure just it being a dragon is significant of itself. I think we don't know enough about dragons in the series. We know recently Futorio killed one of those beasts that was sealed in that obelisk, and he kind of resembled a dragon. So I assume he was part dragon in a way, or he was probably somehow related to all the I guess the background of the weapons or even the world, and that we don't know yet. And so I'm assuming, the significance of the dragon that Ren killed and Naofumi absorbed, and he's playing a role in Naofumi's rage abilities. It seems like this guy, he definitely is more important than I realized. And and I guess we'll find out more about the significance of dragons, because I know we already know there's that dragon hourglass and stuff like that. We just don't know enough about dragons yet, but I'm sure there's more importance to it, and I guess we'll find out later. And basically, Naofumi is reliving all the different moments where he had the most rage, and where as viewers we were pretty frustrated and rageful too at what was going on with him, because he's a lot of injustice towards him. And so we get to see all those moments again. Mine always pops up there, the spear hero, everything. And that almost consumes him, because even though he's a changed person, right? He I feel like he's better at handling that anger and being more, I guess he's not exactly forgiving, but he isn't as resentful as he used to be. Because he realizes what's at stake is more important than these quarrels. And so, but once you're consumed by the rage shield, I'm guessing he's feeling that intensity all over again, just reliving those moments, and he starts to get consumed by it. And I mean, everyone starts to realize it. Raftalia and everyone just like sees him, walking, towards, I guess the Pope or whatever. But like they see, the state that he's in, and they're, they want to save him again. And eventually they do manage to break through and get to him. And like they say their own spiel. It was a pretty like a feel good moment. Naofumi, they serve as Naofumi's anchor, right? Because he's being lost in all this power, and in this world of hatred, and they're the ones keeping him sane. They're the ones keeping him anchored to to this world. And and Naofumi definitely would not. He probably would have been consumed by rage a long time ago if it weren't for them. Also, we find out that Raftalia, all of them, Melty and Philo, they while getting to him, they had to hug him and hold him back, and they look burnt. And I wonder if those burns are just as bad as Raftalia's was before, when she was trying to save Naofumi from raging out with the dragon. And so it was basically covering their whole body, and that must be really painful. And I'm sure they'll be able to get healed. It'll take a while, but I mean, there's got to be more holy water out there. But it took all three of them really to get him back, and this just shows how how powerful this rage shield has become now. So they basically waste no time in fighting the Pope again. Naofumi tanks a shot, and everyone kind of plays their role. Raftalia kind of tells the Pope that we're all decoys, and then he's like, what? And then he sees Ren still got the hit in, as you can see, but it's just kind of funny that she would tell him that they were decoys before the attack even happened. So the Pope kind of goes into some sort of calm, powerful mode that we see in a lot of animes. They start to like, all right, well, enough of this. I'm just gonna go serious, and then so he starts blasting them. He's using the bow hero's ability. He shoots in the cathedral, and I'm assuming this is aside from the cathedral being able to heal him and stuff, it's able to amplify his attacks like this. He basically shoots the attack up on the top of the dome, and then it kind of just multiplies, and it just shoots from all directions, and the guys they don't know what to do now because there are attacks everywhere. So things aren't looking very good. I guess the rage shield really at this point was only good for tanking the Pope's sword blast attack, which I wonder if Ren can do that. He probably can, but it's probably an advanced skill or something. And luckily the Queen comes in. She finally makes it to the scene and helps out the heroes by using her elegantly made icicle prison. The way she did the spell is just pretty elegantly, I have to say. I mean, oh man, that I forgot to mention that the opening shot of her in the beginning, she's not as old and feeble as she said she was, but anyways. So she goes in there, helps them out, freezes the dude, and then Naofumi decides, to use a finishing move, as you can say. I'm not exactly sure how he chooses these attacks. I wonder if it's kind of random, or the shield kind of picks the best thing for the situation, but he picks this move, which, I mean, we've never seen him use before. I'm sure he's actually never used this before, so I don't know. I don't know how he picks these abilities, but he uses this thing called blood sacrifice. Another weird thing that he uses that we kind of think, oh, did that backfire on him or no? Blood sacrifice, meaning he's going to sacrifice his blood to basically do some super overpowered attack, which, the Pope just gets eaten up by this thingy that comes out of the ground from this, from the depths of the pools of blood that just, come out. And, this attack must have been just really strong, just because it snapped the spear. It snapped the holy weapon, right? It made it look like a toothpick. And, I mean, it's definitely, blood sacrifice, right? Naofumi essentially sacrificed most of his life, if not all of it. I don't know if he's gonna die from this, or if he should have died from this, but it basically snapped that weapon, and one hit chopped or bit into the Pope, and it's just pretty gory. I mean, it's as pretty elaborate as the Iron Maiden. I just wonder how. I mean, I never would have expected, in the beginning of the series, I would have not expected attacks like this to come from a shield. But I'm not complaining. It's pretty epic, the music and everything. It just made it sound really nice. And yeah, the Pope is no more. And then so we see the aftermath of, the battle. We can see a bunch of the clergymen and women on the ground. I'm assuming they're dead because they've used up, all their mana. And I guess the Pope, he still had a lot of people, right? He still had a lot of mana reserve. So, I mean, judging by if the Queen, wasn't there and the situation that was happening would have kept going longer, the Pope might have probably just won. He still had a long way to go. So basically the Queen was saying, I'm not going to let you die. I'm sorry for not being there in time. And so I wonder, she's probably going to do some healing magic or something. But Naofumi, he probably lost essentially all his blood. Look at all this blood there. And I'm sure that's his. And and so the Queen kind of, introduces herself, to Naofumi while he's sitting there bleeding out. And then the episode kind of ends. I've been waiting for this moment, the Queen able to talk to Naofumi and be able to meet them. I didn't think it would happen like this. If the Queen was able to, basically, leave wherever she was being held and help him out, she should have done this a while ago, right? I'm not sure why she did, just so happened to do it now. I mean, this was probably, the best time for her to help them out, but still, she could have done this a long time ago, maybe avoid a lot of other problems, but hey, better late than never, right? So just looking at the next episode, Naofumi's triumphant return. Maybe this will probably mean that the next episode will resolve, or it will basically absolve Naofumi from, all his, alleged crimes and his reputation being tarnished and stuff like that. He's probably going to be deemed as a hero, and the Queen's probably going to take over, and the King's going to be, either he's going to be imprisoned, Mind's probably going to be imprisoned, or they're just going to be they're going to get their power basically taken away from them and their credibility. And so, yeah, it's probably going to be a really nice episode. I can't wait to see it. Finally, after all this frustration, Naofumi, gets his real hero's welcome, right? So yeah, let me know what you guys think of this episode. Yeah, leave me a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.